With strength and all I know, I'm sure I'm getting close to the things that feed my soul. No questions asked, I'm pacing, no fumbling, I'm just opening doors I wouldn't before.
Sanmunani, Ninjani, I'm going to raise my voice a little louder this time, just to enunciate and make sure that everyone can hear me in the beginning of the interview, because last time I wasn't so clear. First and foremost, we are out here at Amped Studios in Newtown. It's not far from where you work. You usually work around here.
No, the areas is that was it.
So we decided to come here to, have another conversation about doing what you love, do what you love. And I think it's quite an interesting one because, what happens if you love many things?
Ish.
You see? It's like myself, I primarily like words, right? But then I also like to sing those words.
Right,
né?
right.
I like to write them into like long form essays.
Right.
I love poetry as well, but then I realized that I'm unable to synthesize the most important things into like a short literature form. I don't know if because for me, poetry is the ability to just take the most important things and capture them in a thing that's not so long. And so there are ways to sort of for myself to express myself through writing.
Right.
And singing the things that I write and writing more of the things that I write and then exploring it in different formats. And sometimes it can get a bit confusing, of course. It's like, who are you?
Right.
Or you designer or wenza ma video.
Hey.
And so what's what's the appropriate way to respond as a young person who feels like they love many things, and this is a good conversation because you made these. Right?
Hey.
So Jefferson.
That's it.
Mama
man. Hey man, Mama Muyazi. My mom has known about my love for Indlupi for a while now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Like I've always been interested in how people appear. It's got a lot to do with like the late Linda Mkhize talks about besibiza amaphanga,
Linda Mkhize pro kid. Linda Mkhize pro kid.
Linda Mkhize pro kid. They speak about besibiza amaphanga yabo yo. I can identify with that. Like being a kid who's like being raised by hip hop, being raised by urban culture, and like voops in an area where everyone else is impinching, and from an early age understanding the currency of like what you wear inferring something about you, right? Like inferring something about you. Of course, first like aesthetically, but also culturally.
Yes.
Like so, I remember someone saying, "Hey, like there's an idea that like someone who dresses in this way can form themselves in a particular way, right? So then when I began exploring work in the dramatic arts, hey man, I look at these plays and I'm like, of all the technical aspects, black people are not treated well in this new technology. So like I watch plays and I'm like, these black people are not lit well. Like, the lighting designers are not sensitive to how to light abantu abamnyama.
Sure.
And then you look at like the so-called heightened text and you're like, ish man, the diction on these black people is not treated in a way where they can utter these words in their accent and still communicate.
Sure.
But then also there's the romantic fantasy of what black people are supposed to look like.
Sure.
Right? So in the plays that I was making, I became very deliberate in collaborating with designers about, nah man, these new plays don't look the way we look. They don't dress the way, like they're not edgy, they're not They're not like retro.
It almost still feels like, isn't this Kishagulo, what is it, wardrobe department?
Ish, man.
From 1996.
Ish, man.
Whenever it may, okay, sure.
Ish, man. I'm like, and these are plays set now in contemporary time, and I'm like, they don't look like the black people that I meet at markets. They don't look like the black people that I meet at concerts. They don't look like culture custodians, you know? And I'm like, I know what culture custodians look like. I know what they dress like. I know what they feel like. So when I'm making those dramatizations, I'm also thinking about when this character enters, when they say this line, because I'm a lover of the words, what are they wearing that reinforces what they're saying or their presence? So for me, clothing has always been a thing, you know, but like now to pursue it at a retail perspective, you know, it's like that's a whole other...
because it started I can hear now it sort of started as a love, of course, right?
Yeah.
But then it also became a solution of some sort.
Absolutely.
Right? In your practice, what I have access to is not actually giving me what I want, right? And so perhaps let me find ways to create this thing that I want.
And I'm a fan of that. I mean, like even in our last conversation, I was speaking about like, what is it that is not there that I can contribute, and why am I not contributing it?
Beautiful.
Like there's a obvious gap that I can see, and I'm not filling that gap in any way. And I can. Like I'm not incapacitated to. I can. So I started saying to people like, no man, you know, because you're using a template exactly from the wardrobe department. Like, yeah, but like I'm like, no, working class doesn't mean this, you know. I often speak with Ufaniswa Yesa, who's also one of the designers in the Sinpa range. She's designed some of the ladies' items. And she always speaks about how in characterization, in like dressing characters, particularly on screen, like when they say people are impoverished, always like umdu mpahla as clean or as khazkile and whatever. And she's like, that is the most ill-informed thing.
Yes.
Because people will come out of like the most downtrodden squatter looking like dressed to the nines. Because when you have very little, the way you appear in the world is one of the ways that you can like have upward social mobility, you know? Like people can come out of like that Gezele Kishini vibe, you know? Like you can come from like the most downtrodden area, but like mawangena dog, because ubangena kwakho is like that's your invitation to the next thing, or that's that's like like, you know, that's money.
It's
that's
almost
currency.
a statement to say I'm not my situation
at all. And I've got taste, and I've got, you know.
That's a very interesting thing. That's a very interesting thought now, in these times of identity crisis. Identity crisis in the sense that, you know, we're choosing ourselves. We're choosing to identify and sort of move away from identities that we would have been ascribed, and we're choosing who we are and how we can be. I always think about a joke and a reality actually that happened in Luxin while I was growing up, when there was like, you know, this conscious Rastafarian movement that came to the hood. And what would then happen is, of course, then Abantu would grow dreadlocks, right? And then people would start dressing in a particular way.
Right.
In military, in fatigues.
Yes,
a lot of camouflage, a lot of nature-based, nature tones, if I can put it like that. But then an interesting thing would also happen where people would also change the way they speak.
Man.
And then kuba situation yokuthi hawu Thabo mara last week ngokhuluma kanje.
Nah, easy things fire.
You know, yes. You know? And so the whole possibility of creating yourself, you know, of realizing ukuthi what I have been exposed to perhaps was not serving me, and there's this thing that is now serving me, and I'm going to gravitate towards that, and I'm actually going to even abandon whatever identity you thought you could identify me with. Man,
that is incredible, bro. That is incredible, because, you know, if I come back to the clothing, right, and I come back to this case that we have as our brand emblem, and the idea of being seen pa. for me, it began as an idea of, I remember being told in early industry years, you know, that like, oh, you're a Joburg practitioner. Oh, Joburg theater maker.
What did they mean by that?
They meant that stay there and do that.
There you go. They meant
like
sure.
When ufunde endaweni so the only kind of places you can perform endaweni so.
Yes.
When ufunde kule city so.
Yes.
So the only place where you can practice is so like when I was like touring. And I say touring, what I really mean is like self-funded touring. You know? Like I was like, oh man, I gotta go to Cape Town, I gotta go do this show. I gotta go to Durban, I gotta go do this show. And people would be like, yo man, you're here doing this thing, you booked the venue yourself, you're gonna do this thing. I'm like, hey man, I gotta be seen there. I'm like, I can't just be seen here and then like I'm seen as Umdua, like I gotta be seen by Kapa dog. Like I gotta be seen a pie Teguin, I gotta be seen a pie, I gotta be seen everywhere, you know? And that thing of like Thabo being like all Jamaica infused next, he's like he sees himself there now. Like you know, like he's in Trench Town now. Like and he's not going to let any barrier of stay there stop him. You know, he's gonna take his case and he's gonna move. He's gonna be seen at the next destination. And that destination for me then moved from being geography to being like more philosophical. Like I'm seen at peace, you know, seen at my greater joy, seen at comfort, seen at corporate, you know, like and that's what also continues to inform our brand and our brand slogan, which is wear the art, you know, like wherever you go, drape the art on yourself, you know, like be a collector of the art. And if the portrait or the painting is in the hundreds of thousands, we got you with this one. We got you with this one. You can collect on yourself.
I believe it. What's the importance of creating oneself, Jeff? You know, and without necessarily neglecting where you come from and neglecting what has created you and made you who you are and what you identify with and what largely people know you as, right? What is the importance of not sticking to that and being bound by that, you know, to the point where it causes a rigidity and you're unable to flex, you know, in the various ways in which artists can, you know, if they are not sticking to their own little practice or what they've told themselves, you know, because also that is a decision that happens at some point.
Right.
Right, because then you start, you know, it's a decision in the sense that it's not a decision that you make in your mind, but you start acting it out.
Yeah.
You start acting the decision, you know, it's like you start...
You cast yourself in a role.
Yes.
And then now...
And this life stage. Yeah.
Ish. I think, man, the importance of creating yourself is that, like, you understand that you've got the blueprint and you can recreate yourself. The danger in being created is that you are locked. So, like, if I'm always protecting the Jeff's Fiso knows, man, Fiso doesn't have a mandate to have big dreams for me. If he met me as a writer, he's well within his rights
to just understand
to keep me there. So if I'm gonna bow down to his expectation of me, like I've given him an unnecessary burden, but worse, I've like prisoned myself. I've imprisoned myself because I'm not helping you to go, man, I bought that guy's book. I'm wearing the guy's book cover. Like I'm just going, I bought that guy's book, I read it, that's it. But I want you to also wear the thing, but I'm not allowing you the experience for that. Yes. And the reason I'm not allowing you is because of what I think you will think.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I think that the importance of creating yourself is that you always have the blueprint to recreate yourself, to reimagine yourself, to reinvigorate yourself, and to reinvent. And we live in a time that allows for that. And I think that's like partly the large response, you know, like the traditional ways of that things were, or the way people presented themselves in the medias of the past, is because if I could only see you in the magazine, there was only so much that you could influence, you know. But now people can see you in formal media, in new media. If you want to tell people something now, they can know now. You know, like if you're releasing a new product now, they can know now. And I think the tools are abundantly prevalent for us to be whatever we wish to be whenever we wish to be it. even if I said something else yesterday, I can add to what I said yesterday. It can be like a continuum of a conversation, and people can bear witness to an evolution instead of like a stagnation.
And so, is there any value or is there any vice in contradictions? You understand? Like now that we're living here, it's like, and things have, things are changing almost daily or whatever.
Yeah.
Like new trends, new popping things, new faces,
Yeah.
right? Is there a value in being a in being and being yourself, and because now what it looks like is yourself is allowed to be contradictory. It's like contradiction actually is not a thing. It's just so what?
And like,
so what?
Singabantu, and duplicity is like inbuilt in us, We have biases. There are some things that I believe in my brain that I don't believe in my heart, There's some things that I feel for strongly, but I'm logically against.
Yes, that's for sure.
And that's gonna play out in the decisions I make.
And we mustn't be afraid
Mustn't be afraid.
Yes.
Mustn't be afraid. There's creative output that I've got that people love that I despise.
Pretty sure a lot of us.
Yeah, there's creative output that I have that is my finest work that people are like, nah.
Yeah.
And I need to sit in myself and go, yo, man, the thing that the people love, that I'm not so, I gotta give that as much as the thing that I love that the people don't, and like I can't go, I need to decide, okay, is this a commerce decision? Is this a sharpening of skill decision? Is this a reputation decision? Is this and at all times when those things are oscillating, I'm just having to pick the one that I feel like, okay, this moves better. And that's always gonna have contradiction.
So our types of decisions, you just mentioned now, is this a financial decision? Is this this type of decision, right? When we were speaking about this, I asked you, I suggested that one of the major questions would be, how much must you know before you jump into whatever it is that you think you want in your life? It's like, I want to write plays. Sure. I want to write poetry. I want to write songs. I want to make clothes. I want to make movies. Is there in this day and age, is there a template that you can say, what must you know as a creator who wants to create? Or is that enough? You must just know that you want to create.
That's it, man.
And then go for it.
That's it, man.
And
like, some of you are gonna fetch us in the comments for speaking from positions of privilege, and we are.
I need you to tell us about your privilege. Leave me out of it for now.
You are 100% of the privilege, thoroughly deep within. Like whenever people speak about, man, make what you wanna make, or chase the dream you wanna chase, or whatever, people are always like, but you can talk like that.
Yes.
You don't have these bills that I'm looking at, or you don't live where I live, or you don't have access to the...
Sure.
And man, like, there's only one ending to that story. Right? If like Sfiso says, do this to get this, and I'm like, but Sfiso saying that because there's only one ending to my story. Like, if I adopt the position of, but you're only saying that because, the only ending that is certain for me is that nothing will happen.
Yeah,
that is 100% guaranteed. That nothing is gonna. That's like, it's not gonna happen. And if I'm not applying myself, if I'm not pushing beyond what I have, if I'm not calling people, if I'm not asking friends to do this, if I'm not, because that's what really essentially it means, right? When people are telling you about the lack that they have, they're telling you that I don't have someone I can call. They're telling you that I don't have someone who can give me advice. They're saying that no one is willing to give me 30 minutes of their time.
Yes.
They're saying that what an insult to the people you know.
Eish.
Like, you're telling me all the amazing, brilliant people in your circle, none of them can say to you, I'll print this for you. Or I'll give you like 10 hours of internet. You're telling me from everyone you know, no one is willing to give you a 10-minute chat to counsel you about something that you look up with them. That's like so defeatist, man. You're like, you're saying that because you've got things. You are saying I don't have things. You are saying my immediate surroundings and the people that I know are not things.
Yes.
And nothing from their input can take me anywhere. All of us are like at the bottom barrel. And that's dangerous, man. To even think of the people around you like that is dangerous.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the idea of doing your best, right? And how no one can ever know what your best is except the person who's doing. You know, like would say, I've done my best, and so the quest is to always do your best.
Yeah.
And you know, your best doesn't always have to land you up on TV or land you up with like fantastic interviews, like in the places where you want to be interviewed, or hanging around with the people that you want to hang around. But like, you know, there's an integrity that tells you when you've done your best. Yeah. You know, when you know it and
peace,
and
man.
I know it. Yeah, like ngiyenzile lento le to the best as I could, to the best in the best way that I could. Okay. I want to talk here about a brother who I think did a fantastic thing. He's a guitarist. Now his name is Billy Munama. You know, he started. I don't know, man. I first came across him from a song of his. It was called Confused Love or something like that.
Right.
Playing guitar, very nice. It's smooth stuff. You know? And you know, shortly after that, he started being this guy who's exploring South African guitar styles.
Right.
You know, I thought that was quite an interesting move to make for someone who was supposedly in the jazz scene. You know,
Right.
and I think the jazz musicians are, you know, they're in the live sector. They're quite busy. You know, in the sense that, you know, they're acknowledged as a genre that that deserves people's ears, serious listeners' ears.
Right.
And so we started going into this traditional guitar style exploration, you know. Like,
Right.
And we saw him learning in front of us. It was absolutely amazing, you know, like to see him being interested in the stuff and like going to meet these master teachers, you know,
man.
and like sitting down with them. He eventually created a series of tutorials that he put up online. I think I'm proud to say I was one of the first people to
Whoop whoop.
to subscribe. He didn't tell me this, but I figured out, you know, from like the kinks. There were some kinks on there that we helped fix, you know, but like it ended up being like really great. And he published this book a couple of months ago. It's called The Introduction to South African Guitar Styles, Volume 1, 5 Decades of Ukuvamba. Ukuvamba is like a style of playing, you know, 1930s to 1980s, you know, and he's got himself there. And it's nice, man, you know, I think like he's not only a guitarist, but he decided to be an author.
It's amazing.
A teacher.
That's
like
amazing.
He did it by himself, you know. And I think this is a template.
That's
you know?
amazing.
This is a template in terms of people not relying on academia or making excuses and saying this and saying that, you know, but like the information is out there, the people are out there. You know? So it's this thing that you were talking about like it's an insult to the people around us to say that we're unable to necessarily even achieve our dreams because I'm in a situation so no, you know. And so I'd urge everyone to like check it out, you know, whether you can read music or not. Do check out the book. It might even inspire you to learn a few things more, you know, about yourself, about the people where you come from, but also just music history. You know, like I'm guessing the people who are largely going to be seeing this are people who like my music and know me as a musician. You know, of course, in the theater practice on Jeff's side. But I think this is a good model.
This is amazing, man. This is amazing.
And so, Billy, man, you know, I hope you check this out. I'm actually going to cut this and tag you on social media.
Billy, we want you here.
We do, bro. Like, so that you can come tell us.
This is amazing, brother.
Come tell us about, you know, doing what you love, you know, which includes like teaching, learning, because you had to learn these different styles, you know, like konitsonga guitar, konumaskandi, like umaskandi also like is divided into like maybe 7-8 different styles, you know, like, and you know, who would have thought, you know, it's like right now we are still there's still a misunderstanding about the difference between umbhaqanga and umaskandi, for instance, you know. It's like people still think umbhaqanga is largely Zulu music, you know, but it's like a township music, you know. You know, so like small little things like that, you know, like they're interesting to learn about ourselves, you know, because a lot of the content and I think a lot of the songs as well, you know, were sort of hidden from us because of apartheid. And there were certain sounds and things that were sort of censored and we're not allowed to have access to, you know, and so this is a good beginning. It's a good start.
Amazing.
For us, but someone needs to make someone needs to have that realization, and they need to be a lover of many things in order to take themselves outside of their initial practice of
Right.
being a guitar player, for instance, you know.
To say I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna venture into this.
Yeah, to be
and I'm gonna realize it.
I'm going to become an author. I'm going to realize it. It says it's 15 years worth of work, you know, like research, interviews, you know, to the eventual publication, you know, and so yeah, I think this is a beautiful model, and shout out, bro, and shout out to everyone else who's doing amazing
Congrats, King.
things without making excuses, of course. And I think maybe to close down this conversation about loving many things and doing what you love, I'd like to read something from a book of yours.
Salute.
Something that you are publishing. I think you're busy in the process now.
Quarter two.
Quarter two.
Yeah.
This is like the actual manuscript.
Yeah, this is the manuscript for Poetype, which is the t-shirt that I'm wearing.
Yes, merchandise.
It's the merchandise, yeah.
So you can buy this, you can buy that,
Like whatever you like.
whatever you want. You know.
Or you can buy the original prints from the artist who made it, which is Masai Sepuru.
There's
Amazing artist.
There's that.
Yeah.
Please tell us a little bit about this.
So Poetype is a really interesting play that we first premiered in 2014, and it's essentially a zooming into the guru and the grasshopper's relationship. It really explores.
And those are archetypes.
Those are archetypes.
Please explain what those archetypes would, you know, stand for in this real world of ours. You know.
I mean, like, kuna mapurist la ngaphandle, and I think this is like back to your question of contradiction, right? Because like, I mean, in subsequent explanations of like this text, and I was saying to people that like it's like a kind of a love letter in retrospect to my own experience in poetry.
Yes.
It's like I know moments when I am just like a purist.
Yes.
I want this to be this way. It was taught in this way. It must always be this way, you know? And there are aspects of my life and current disposition that are that way. And then like soon I'm gonna be on TikTok. Soon I'm gonna be like on Instagram Shorts, you know? There's an aspect of my vocation that also like teases me towards the new.
Yes.
You know, the untraveled.
Yes.
You know, the less formulaic.
Yes.
You know, because it's still making
Developing,
form.
of course.
Yeah, right. And those are the two archetypes, like the stoic guru and the curious grasshopper. And then the third character in there is the phantom, who never appears in the, but like it's kind of someone who in the idealism of the play is the person who has done that and distilled it into one thing.
Consolidated the two aspects of.
Exactly. The phantom in this, like the guru looks to the phantom as like a lost soul who was once to the core, you know, and the grasshopper looks to him as like someone who's like triumphed through all the things, you know. But the guru, like the phantom, is all those things, you know. He's a lost soul who's finding himself. He's like successful. He's enjoying what he loves to do, and he's selling what he loves to do. And this play deals with people who are not the phantom. One who's like thoroughly the guru, and the other who's thoroughly the grasshopper. And what that tussle is like in the journey to being a phantom.
I was going to read from this, and now while you're talking, I'm realizing that we've got lots of footage. And so I'm going to ask you to just send me the footage.
Absolutely.
And then let's like cut something. This is Serving 12. I hope you have Serving 12.
We've got Serving 12.
Thank you very much.
We've got Serving
So we'll
12.
play a little bit of Serving 12 here, and so you can have an understanding about the importance of this conversation, you know, and the fact that you don't have to be either or.
Yeah.
You know, like just be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and do what you love in this journey. There's nothing less than that. Hopefully you can give the people a link, Jefferson, of like where we can find certain things.
Yeah, man. I mean, for the persons who are looking to follow the stuff that I'm doing, at Jefferson Tshabalala across all platforms. So Jefferson Tshabalala on Instagram, on Facebook, and at JBobsTshabalala on Twitter. And then to find out like things about the books and the publications and etc. at Updope Shishini Official. So at Updope Shishini Official, that's where you find out about that. And then when it comes to
Ndoang. Steez.
Modlara.
The thing.
When it comes to clothing, at Scene-Pa. Find us at Scene-Pa on Instagram and across all other platforms. And then place your order. We'll get you Scene-Pa looking fresh.
Blessings. This is us for the day. We're out of here. I'm going to do a few outfit changes and change into my telela things. Wabathi telela.
Don't tell us for you so.
Telela. Babuni's.
Papaini.
With strength and all I know, I'm sure I'm getting close to the things that feed my soul. No questions asked, complacent, no fumbling.